Anyway, I started talking about triggers and thresholds. So triggers are all these things that are coming in. The thresholds is how much can you handle. And of course, the higher the pile is, the less you can handle. And the pile will include toxicity, malnutrition, stagnation, and trauma.
This is another question from our fibromyalgia group. Does anyone else have completely normal test results? I just don't understand how I can feel this bad and have nothing show up ever. And this, to me, there's a couple things here. One is blood. It seems like the medical industry is focused 100% on blood or very obvious problem like broken arm. I mean, you just look, you can see it, right? But if there's nothing wrong with your blood, there's nothing wrong with you. And that's kind of like a ridiculous statement, right?
Okay, let's talk about diagnostics, right? Diagnostics are the tools that they use to diagnose your problem. And in the traditional Chinese medicine, you will take the pulses, not just the pulse. You will take the pulses, 3 fingers over here, and it's the shallow, the medium, and the deep pulse, and on the 3 different fingers. And you feel for that. You do the tongue analysis. You take a look at how this is, and so on. Anyway, you will take a look at the individual and diagnose them through a fairly lengthy intake, like an hour and a half intake interview, where you learn to understand the person, how they are, who they are, what they are. In the mainstream, they are trying to get to a diagnosis quickly. So if you have something obviously wrong with you, you have a dislocated jaw or an eye popping out or whatever, that's visible. Then they check your blood. They will use an ultrasound. They will use an MRI. They will use ways to look at the shape of things, an X-ray, right? It's limited to what it tells you, and it's quite static. It does not consider the dynamic balance that we're in. With a human body, everything is in dynamic balance. Your hormones change throughout the day. They're different from in the morning to midday, evening. Your nutritional status and all of that all is changing. So when you take your blood, it's a static snapshot of something at a particular point. So it depends what questions you're asking. And the questions that you're asking, as in, where is my pain from, is not answered by taking a vial of blood and analyzing that. It knows that there are signals. It will know that there are liver enzymes that are out of line. It will know a few other details, but it will not know the cause of your pain, and it will not know its location either.
There was a comment on this one that was really good. Yep, I had numerous blood tests, X-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, you name it, 12 months of all the intense tests that they could think of, and they found nothing. Yet I'm in severe pain every single day.
Okay. We, on this end, know that fibromyalgia is a problem with your amygdala. The amygdala is in your brain. It's behind your temples. It's tiny. It's the size and shape of the almond. That's why it's called amygdala, because that's I don't know if it's Greek or Latin. I think it's Greek for almond. And in that organ, signals are processed. It's the safe, unsafe sorting of reality. And if the amygdala is misprogrammed, it's sort of like this. A doorbell, you push the doorbell, it goes ding. You let go of it, it stops. With the dysregulated amygdala, you press the button, and it goes ding, 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 regardless of the fact that you're not holding on to the onto this button. And we called it a flare. A flare is something that has arrived in your body and your nervous system has gone into overdrive. And we have thresholds and triggers. Triggers are the stuff that will trigger you, and they can include weather, like change of barometric pressure or change of temperature. It could be stuff you smell, volatile organic compounds, cigarette smoke, gasoline smoke, Glade plug-in, you name it. Just about anything you can smell, anything you can hear, anything you can feel. A lot of people with fibromyalgia are touch sensitive to the point that they can't stand the movement, anything touching their hair, touching their skin. Hypersensitivity, right? The nervous system is in overdrive. It overreacts to every possible input. And then there's this thing called the signaling molecule for inflammation. It's the most important of the lot. There are several, but the most important one is histamine. And we have this cluster of things called the histamine-mediated inflammatory conditions. And so the histamine is the signal. Something tells it to go. The go is, it's called the mast cell. The mast cell degranulates and releases the histamine. What sets it off, we can get into. But anyway, once it's set off, it will react to something. So if it hits you in the digestive system, you will throw up. If it hits you in the stomach, that is. If it hits you in the intestine, you will have diarrhea or constipation or back and forth. If you hit it in the reproductive system, you have dysmenorrhea or PMS or PCOS or whatever the possible illnesses are of the female reproductive system. There's plenty of it, right? That's just there. What else? Well, it can hit you in the peripheral nerves, so you'll be hurting. Fibromyalgia is the pain in muscles and soft tissues. I don't know. It can hit you in the regulatory system where your blood pressure goes haywire. Anyway, endless areas, every possible part of your body can be affected by it. And it's all from the one thing, inflammatory reaction mediated by histamine, causing you the pain, well, the five symptoms of inflammation: redness, heat, swelling, pain, and loss of function. And the loss of function is tragic, right? So you get people in chronic fatigue because their mitochondria are not capable of converting food into energy. So they have only so much that they can handle. Anyway, I started talking about triggers and thresholds. So triggers are all these things that are coming in. The thresholds is how much can you handle. And of course, the higher the pile is, the less you can handle. And the pile will include toxicity, malnutrition, stagnation, and trauma, all of which will conspire. So you need to get the toxic things out of your body. You need to get good nutrients into your body. You need to understand your body, what is better for it versus the other. So the traditional Chinese medicine, or the Indian Ayurvedic medicine, or the homeopathic medicine, or the classical Western herbalist medicine has a way better chance of helping you than the mainstream. Did I get off into some weeds, Scott?
No, I think you covered it really well. And I think the other thing is, when you take a pill, the expectation is within 10 or 15 minutes, the pain is going to be, or whatever it is, will be gone. And
Yeah.
when you're looking at causes, you're going to have a little bit longer term results, I guess, right? Like you detox yourself, it's going to take you a while, depending on how toxic you are. And then your body's got to rebuild itself. So it's not a miracle cure. There's not a miracle cure. And the problem is everyone keeps doing all the things. Like I'm 100% convinced, although we did do a poll and a lot of people are like drinking water and not drinking beer of our fibromyalgia group. I'm convinced that they have this lifestyle and they're expecting something outside the lifestyle to fix what the lifestyle is creating. So it's kind of like if you had a pot of water and it's boiling because it's on the stove and the temperature on the element is set to high, and you're trying to put ice in it to cool it down. Like it might cool it down for, a second or a minute, depending on how much ice you stick in there, but eventually it's going to be boiling again. So, you have a lifestyle, you're eating things. You said it really well with, eating organic and eating stuff that was nutrient dense and taking the extra superfood sort of thing. But I think everyone thinks, oh, I'm living my life, I'm eating my hot dogs, and I'm drinking my Coke, and now the pill's not working. Whereas that's why nothing's working, is your inputs are bad. And you need to really look at your whole lifestyle and see what you can do to change it. And it's hard when like most people who are sick for a long time have very little money, right? So, it's a catch-22, but you got to figure it out or suffer, right? I mean, you're suffering. Like, how badly do you have to suffer before you start buying organic lettuce instead of toxic lettuce, for example? So,
yeah.